Hi, I'm Joe, and welcome back to my studio. In the first part of this video, I spoke a lot about why good technique and why round fingers are so critical when we play the piano. In this video, I want to show you a couple ways you can practice to help achieve this technique. So there's no better place to start talking about practicing technique than there is with, of course, scales. And for the purpose of this video, I'm primarily just going to talk about rather simple five-finger patterns, but you can take the concepts I talk about and apply it to what you're doing in your scale routine, whether it's one octave, multiple octaves, whatever it is. So let's start by talking about a five-finger pattern starting on D. Okay? And the way I want you to practice this is I want you to use a very detached touch. So you're going to drop into every note. Okay? And you're going to drop in with very strong hammer-like fingers. Okay? And don't worry about the nuance of sound and all those things. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But very strong fingertips, round, dropping in. And I also want you to be aware of your wrist. The wrist should be supporting the fingers in the hand. Okay? It should be relatively flat, straight. Okay? You don't want it obviously to pop up like this, and you don't ever want it to sink down like this. It makes everything just flat again. Okay? And I use the analogy of a waterfall. Okay? Imagine you have a waterfall. The water's coming down, and it falls over the fingers into the keys. Okay? And what is transferring, it's not obviously water, but it's body and arm weight that's transferring through and falling into the keys. And the wrist also is very critical, not only of all your fingers in your hand, but the success of the thumb. And the thumb is an interesting finger because unlike the other ones, it doesn't play on the tip, right? It should play only on the corner. Okay? And if your wrist, obviously if it's too high, that's not good. But if your wrist falls, if it sinks, it not only makes these fingers flat, but look what it does to my thumb. It makes this whole side of my thumb come in contact with the key, and we don't want that. We want only the corner. So if your wrist is in the right position, it fixes all your other fingers and the position of your thumbs. And you practice it in this manner. And you can also do it with arpeggios, whether you're playing full octave arpeggios, shorter, abbreviated arpeggio if your hand is smaller, if you're a younger student, but you can do it in the same manner. Okay? Dropping in to every note with a strong finger. Now, once that becomes comfortable and you practice it, and you don't have to give it a second thought to keep all those things in place, then you can start making it sound more musical, more shaped. You can play it legato, and you can start a little softer, so you can grow as the line goes up and descend as the line comes down. However, if you're going to start softer, don't think of it as you're playing it weaker. You're not playing it with a weaker finger. You're starting softer by pressing the key down slower. But the shape of your hand, your wrist, your hand, your fingers, doesn't change. The technique always stays consistent. Now, I know many of you also have chord progressions you warm up with or you practice in your technique exercises. And I've noticed that when, again, an earlier student or a younger student or someone just starting in their studies tries to play a chord, it can be difficult for the first time. So if we take a C major chord, C, E, and G, sometimes they'll try to play that and other notes will speak, more than just 1, 3, and 5 will go down. Good technique will greatly help with this and help it develop over time. But there's another little trick you can do. I call it like an additive technique. where you play the C, you add E, and you add G. So by the time you're at the end of this, you have those three notes playing. Okay, and only those three notes. And your hand will learn what it feels like to only have those three notes pressed down. And you can do it with the left hand until it's comfortable, and you can then play only those notes of the chord that you need to have speaking. And another thing that good technique will help, notice those three notes are not only the only ones playing, but they play at the same precise time, all three. Okay? If you have uncontrolled, weak, floppy, bad fingers, you'll get like a rolled sound, or the one note will come sooner than the other or whatnot. And you want to avoid that as well. All three notes at the same time. It actually reminds me of a master class I attended many years ago. Many years ago. I believe it was Misha Dichter giving it, a wonderful concert pianist. And he said something in that master class that kind of took us all by, like, oh, we knew that, but we didn't really think of it in that light, in that, under that angle. He said, look at your hand. All your fingers are different lengths, right? But if you curve your hand, all the fingers become the same length. And that, in turn, really helps evenness in playing the piano, of course, with a good technique. So I hope what I said in this video and what I shared helps. And remember, good technique is the foundation of your success at the piano. So till next time, I wish you all the best in your practice.